Hello, we are here with Nadežda, who is a teacher at DNS, the Necessary Teacher Training College. And hello, Nadežda, how are you today?
Hi, Marciana. Very good. Good morning to you.
Hello, I'm so happy to have you here and curious to hear your story because I know you've been a student at DNS at first and then you became a teacher. So let's start by maybe you can tell me more about your background. Where are you from, and how did you end up studying at DNS?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's try to bring together all the small details. So, I'm from Lithuania originally, but I am from a mixed ethnic family. Let's call it like that. So I grew up in a small Russian-speaking town. Part of my family is from Belarus. Part is like Latvia, Lithuania, a bit of a mix. So, but generally, what isn't common is that the fact that they speak Russian exclusively. So I think it's actually now reflecting back, it's been a unique opportunity in my life to kind of grow up in a country where I feel like it's my place to be, but not necessarily culturally. So I don't have a strong attachment to the country of Lithuania, but definitely attachment to the nature, the place, and so on. And of course, it contributes to you learning more than one language since you're a kid, which is very healthy. Yes. And then my journey, I would say, in a social field started when I was like 16, when I moved from a more village type place where were just like a few families living to inside of a small city. And then, like you are 16, you're a teenager, you want to explore. So I went proportionally with time I spent in school and time I spent doing other activities outside. We went like, boom. And that's how I found Red Cross originally. We have in my hometown in Visaginas a very active group of youth inside of a Red Cross. And it's been a great opportunity for me as a young person to realize that actually I can contribute to the society no matter how unexperienced and like not very knowledgeable I am. Yeah. And we started to do under leadership of a local group, all kind of different social activities with handicapped children, with in the orphan house, with elderly care home, and like step by step, you start to contribute to society. You just go there, maybe you perform, maybe you play, maybe you do something with their parents, with the staff, with the children, and it kind of got me hooked that it was such a healthy social experience I never had before, and was very exciting and very scary. And oh my god, you don't know how they will react. You don't really know what you're doing, but it was a lot of fun. Just like pure human fun to do that. And yeah.
Let me stop you here for a bit because I'm curious about this contribution to the society. Like, was this something you were thought about in your family, or is this something that the youth in Lithuania is generally doing? Is this a value? I'm curious, where is this coming from? Or is it was just a pure desire of doing?
It's a very deep question. I don't know. I wouldn't really say that it's a value in the like community where I come from, maybe in my city or in my family specifically.
Okay.
But what I think maybe I grew up with inside of a smaller community, like imagine suburban area with just like 10 families, and each of these families has kids, and there was a strong bond of doing things together. All the adults take care of all the children, and of course they were working adults, so it was like a lot of difficulties to manage, but like as children we really were sticking together. And maybe that was a little bit of this aspect that it's cool to stick together with our people, and there was like a lot of sense of a community even before I knew what a community is.
So you were really accustomed to the feeling of community from an early age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unknowingly.
So after Red Cross, what happens then?
Yeah, so I don't know how you were at 18 years old, but I was all like, I don't want to live with my parents. I don't want to depend on them. I don't want to be with them. I don't want to be in my hometown. So it was all about escape.
Okay.
For good or for bad, I don't know. And exactly at that time, I was finishing my high school back in 2012. This whole funding of European Union in Lithuania started to boom. Like suddenly everybody was going for this European voluntarily service projects, and there was a lot of funds for youth. It was not there like 2 years before that. Yeah, it was just starting. Lithuania was just entering that whole area of funds and European Union money and so on. And I thought it would be quite a cool opportunity because I didn't really want to study in Lithuania because it was not really my country. Like it didn't feel very much homey at that point. And I was like, yeah, we'll go abroad and I'll do things and I'll volunteer. And actually, one day it was end of summer, and I was already quite set with that mind to travel to Spain and volunteer, like a very 18-year-old young person.
Yeah.
And I received a very short email from my future team at DNS, and it was a little bit I don't know, like tacky. I don't know how to say it. It was like, hey, you are young, excited, and I don't know, active person. Would you like to travel to Africa with me and become a teacher? And I was like, yeah. I am young and excited and active. And I opened that website of DNS, and I think I spent a whole night looking through all the albums and reading all the articles, and with big eyes, just not understanding that, is it like real? And then I was later on, I got some feedback from teachers. I reached them out on Skype, and I just had so many questions. I was texting them like nonstop, like, and what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And when can I come? And what should I do? And we had a call, and like, I was obsessed with the idea that actually, like, it's pretty much everything that I like to do and I want to do. But together, not like, there is a volunteering, and then there's like some kind of social work, and then there is studies and so on. Yeah, and then I said, like, when can I come? And they're like, well, we have a preparation weekend in 2 weeks. If you manage, I'm like, I manage. I'm there.
Okay. You were saying that you didn't really have a strong attachment to Lithuania, and it didn't necessarily feel like home. Where you at now? Do you feel like home?
Yeah, in a way. But I also think what I learned in this last year is that it's a lot about the people that surround you, in a way. And I think in the beginning, that's also what didn't feel so much at home in the whole of Lithuania, because, my hometown, had some people that I cared about and that cared about me, but nowhere else, because like my family was all in different parts. I didn't have any friends outside of my hometown. And then when I moved here after a few years, I realized like this is a place where I can come back. This is a place where I have the people whom I can come back to. And that's a little bit of this definition of home to me, I would say.
That's so. It sounds like home, like a home feeling. I am curious. What were your challenges as a student at DNS, or in the beginning of your journey? What were your challenges?
I think one of the first things I would point out, and I didn't know it then, of course, like you don't always see the challenges the moment you are inside, but one of them was myself, because I was very green, I was very inexperienced, and like I often tell to people who come to DNS and ask like, how were you before DNS? So how is it? And I said that DNS made me who I am. It made me a person, because before I came, I didn't really have political stand or some kind of views on who I am or who should I be, where do I want to grow, It was also like I was reflecting a lot on how high school prepared me for life, because I was not really, I was very moldable and not much substance at that moment. And that was quite challenging because I didn't have a strong sense of, I didn't have strong emotional skills at all. Not like I do now, but I'm a little bit better. So emotional intelligence, emotional skills, all that language was very difficult for me to understand. And suddenly you have all of these people from all over Europe, and we live in a campus with people with social and mental difficulties. And there's suddenly such a wide and rich spectrum of emotions and behaviors. And I was just taken aback because I never experienced it and never tried to understand it consciously. Because when I was in Red Cross, it was like more just giving my energy and that's it, like I don't think too much about what I do. I just try to do good and that's it. And here you can, okay, now I have to think, why is it happening around me and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing? And that was very difficult. So developing myself was very challenging. But I think that's a journey for everyone, isn't it?
I think so too. Quite different for every person. What do you think shifted in your perception? Let's say perception about yourself and perception about the community. So in this time.
Well, I could say it kind of goes, it's a little bit connected, myself and the community. And this is what I didn't see. And that's how it shifted. Because as I say, I now looking back on my childhood, I feel like I grew up in a community, but I didn't know it that moment. It just seemed like, yeah, this is completely normal. That's how everybody lives. And I think now looking back, and also again, living in a different community in this poor part of my life, I see how it interrelates, and how much I am shaped by my community and how much I actually shape my community or my actions and my behaviors. And I think this is what I didn't see, and I didn't even think of searching before coming here. And that was quite a big change, because we often have a discussion with our students like, yeah, but we are the concept of freedom, influence, and again, freedom of certain influences. And we often come to conclusion that there is no such a, place where you're completely free of any kind of influence. You are always going to be influenced by your parents, by your near group of friends, by your community, if so, and the rest of the society. So to be able to choose what influences you and who and what kind of forces, I think this is quite a big definition of freedom for me.
That's so cool to hear, because I've experienced the same feeling in the alternative education I've been in, this sense of freedom, as if I never experienced it before. So I was in a bit of a mental cage. So I'm curious, what belief do you think you got rid of? So what belief you had back home, and in time you got rid of it? Something that was hindering you.
It's hard to put it in words. Somehow, like I have this idea of what changed a lot in this kind of maybe belief system. I think it's a lot about who I am and my value in this world. I'm trying to formulate it. So at some point, maybe it's like a short example, we had a conversation with my team, with my class, And it was a very emotional conversation because many people were distressed. I don't remember for what reason, and there were some conflicts. And I didn't really feel that any of those emotions and feelings and conflicts really get to me. It was, everything was a bit on the surface. And at some point we were going in a round, sharing how we feel. And the thought in my mind was, guys, why can't you just behave like I do, like just keep it on the outside, keep it on the surface, then it will not bother you, like you'll not feel sad or angry or overwhelmed. And then people got so shocked that actually this is exactly how I felt and thought at that moment, that it's completely good and healthy to keep all these things on the surface of your personality and outside of you. And then I got a lot of strong critical feedback from my team, and I realized that actually maybe it's not that healthy and productive to keep everything out of the surface. And and that belief changed completely since then. Slowly.
Sounds like a lot of growth, because I've heard sense of identity and sense of personal value, and also a shift in your emotional behavior, or like you are becoming healthier from an emotional point of view, because you are expressing more, or just learning that it's okay to express your emotions and talk about them, and not stay like strong with a shield in front of you. You were talking about earlier about shaping the community. So how do you shape your community?
Well, one of the most obvious, of course, ways is through my students, because I am a teacher for one group of students, for one class. And well, sometimes we joke about it, how your students are a reflection of you as a teacher. But for good or for bad, it is true in a way, because from the beginning, I think when many people come to join our college here in our community, and you form this team, with a teacher or two and the students, there is this very strong attachment, very traditional attachment from the beginning, that the teacher is a person who knows the truth, who is always right, because that's how you're used to perceive the situation of learning and education. And it's a very, very long process of actually breaking that down, and it's quite a big responsibility for a teacher. I remember in the beginning feeling that, the more you are looked upon as a truth carrier, the more you feel like, maybe I should respond to this, maybe I should actually carry it, maybe I should say, maybe I am the one, And it's very difficult to keep that kind of moderated, and to help your students to understand that that's not like that. I'm a human, I make mistakes. I learned through life certain things, and I studied things which they have a possibility to do also, and I want to do it with them, and to break, to deconstruct, to take apart all of this mechanism of bonding to the educational situation and the teacher, and actually create a relationship where you are just learning together, basically. And I think this is how it's my contribution to the communities on the very basic level, the first one.
And I think it's also breaking the hierarchy, right, between teacher and student. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have been in a formal education system for many years, and you know how it is like. So the teacher is standing on a high horse, and the students are down, and they look upon him or her or them. So yeah, I do resonate with this. I think it's quite of a process to to release this belief of I have to be perfect, and I have to show that I know everything, in front of my students, and I cannot show myself vulnerable. Yeah. Okay, so if you were to leave our audience with a golden nugget of wisdom, and let's formulate it with like back then I believed that, and now I believe this?
Ooh, high expectations.
What would you tell us?
Yeah, was not prepared for this question. But anyway, I think back then, I believe that people create themselves. That you are, there is this picture on the internet, a man is kind of like hammering himself as a sculpture and like building himself out of stone. And now I actually believe that it's a collective process, that none of us is ever able or is doing that, self-construction. And of course, it's not to say that you don't have power over changing your habits, over making decisions in your life, over choosing certain ways of communication. But we are so interconnected with the world, and it's so not right to kind of keep that outside, keep that away as a knowledge. So right now, I do believe that we are constructing each other rather than oneself.
Thank you so much. I personally, I will take this with me. And thank you for being today with us. And it was a great perspective. I'm looking forward to talk with you more and develop on that. But for now, we're gonna end. And thank you so much. Have a great day, and see you everyone in our next interview.
Thank you. Have a good day.